promises and the devastating effects of the unfinished Destination Crenshaw construction project, leaving residents, businesses, and churches to deal with myriad problems, including the loss of parking, restricted access, traffic congestion, and a lack of emergency vehicle access when it matters most. For years now, Procrastination Crenshaw has directly contributed to the loss of customer revenue for local Black-owned businesses and, sadly, has forced the closure of some businesses along this 1.3-mile corridor. For years now, churches have been experiencing decreased attendance due to the elimination of parking, and social service programs for vulnerable fellow citizens have been altogether halted. For years now, residents have watched their quality of life erode, and nothing has been done about it. If they think they can get away with treating Black folk like second-class citizens, they better think again.
You better think about what you're trying to do to me.
This town hall meeting is a reckoning, a public witness, an opportunity for impacted community members to share their experiences for the public record as we prepare to hold those responsible accountable for this enduring nightmare. So please join us Thursday, July 30th, 6:30 p.m. at Bethesda Temple Church, 4909 Crenshaw Boulevard. This town hall meeting is free and open to the public, but registration is required at kbla1580.com. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Tavis Smiley, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Yeah, it's for the people. This is street radio for unsung hero. Riding in the Rego, trying to stay legal. My daughter found Nemo, I found a new primo. Yeah, you know how we do it for the people and the struggle of the brothers and the folks. The lovers of the dope. Experiment to discover hope, scuffle for notes. The rougher I wrote, times was harder. Went from rock starter to the voice of a martyr. Why white folk focus on dogs and yoga. My people on the low end trying to ball and get over. Lyrics are like liquor for the fallen soldier. From the bounce to the ounce, it's all our culture. Every day we hustling, trying to get them customers. Law we ain't trusting them. Thick bras, we lusting them. Sick and tired of punching it. I look on the bus at them. When I see them struggling, I think I'm touching them. The people.
About the people. About the people. About the people.
KBLA Talk 1580. Time to talk about some education around here. I'm welcoming in a second-generation educator, maybe more. He's from Philly, but he lives here now. And he is an author of a children's book, a swimmer and swim coach, and currently has his own educational project, the Jabali Academy. You'll learn more about that. Dr. Jon Carroll, welcome.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So it's a big issue, education, particularly when it comes to Black people, but even more especially Black boys, I think.
Absolutely. I think we see statistics and we have these current issues with young men losing their lives. So when I think about education and being a Black man myself, that's currently front of mind. But I think when we think about community in general, we cannot disparage or minimize the fact that Black girls also face struggles in schools too. Yeah,
no doubt. I mean, the expulsion information, it's a lot. The discrimination is real. We were just talking last hour. I had a Black Republican on who was telling me about his support for school vouchers and this whole idea of choice, which, we don't need to get into that today. But the reason I bring it up is because he pointed out that a lot of Black parents, and that's especially true here in Los Angeles, where this radio station is located, make the choice to take their children and put them in independent or private schools, either Catholic schools or the more prestigious independent schools here in the area. And I know that happens on the East Coast too. I mean, the Obamas famously had their daughters, not just when he was president, but before that, in independent schools. My child did that, a lot of my friends, because we want our children to have superior education. You were a dean at one of those. Probably the most prestigious, or at least the top three.
Absolutely. I call it a
Harvard-Westlake
destination school for sure. And
a destination school, that's what you call it?
Yeah, I mean, there are schools out here that, folks will plan their whole kids, youth around in terms of getting to that place when it's time, in 7th grade or 9th grade. And I call it comprehensive education in terms of why some parents and many black parents choose to make that choice. I remember when we first moved here to California, we were very excited about where we landed in the San Fernando Valley because of the schools. This is around the time when API was huge, and you would post your academic performance index on the front of the school to show how good it was. And we did a little digging only to find that the school didn't have things like PE or music or science. And so I don't think it's a reason to castigate or make fun of families who want to do better.
No, I don't. I mean, shoot, I made the choice myself. I sometimes wonder if it was the right choice for, reasons which we can talk about. But a lot of parents do that. Black parents who are not wealthy, working class, middle class families, I drove a raggedy car for years to pay for that, because even if you have a scholarship, it's expensive.
Absolutely.
But we do it because we think it's better. A friend of mine, I won't call her out, but you would know her. If I did, she's an attorney. She said, no, you need to send your child to the places where the people who are going to be running the country send their children.
I think it's very important that our kids are able to experience and be in the circles that are going to allow them to have opportunities. And when you look at the statistics and look at the graduation rates of where students in those destination schools go, it does put them in the rooms where the decisions get made.
Yeah, and the friend groups and all of that stuff. But at the same time, it's like what you said about the APIs. When I was looking at public schools and saying, oh, this one has great numbers. But when you dig a little deeper, what you find is that the black students are not thriving there.
Yes, and oftentimes data will show this and support this as well. They're getting suspended at disproportionate rates to their peers. They are not being able to access gifted and talented education.
Right.
Like, these are all things that are happening. So even when you're in public school, you're facing this uphill battle to even access the best that public schools have to offer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an educator, so I can call things out. Culver City was a perfect example. A lot of people move to Culver City or try to get, permits to send their children there because Culver City schools have great numbers.
Yes.
But when you go in and look at the data, the black children are not thriving. The black children are not doing well. They are not the ones that are making their numbers go up. And I refuse to believe it's because those children are the problem.
No, it's not that at all. And it's funny you mentioned Culver City, because when we first moved here, that was, a plan of ours when we had children to be in a place like Culver City that has great schools. But what you quickly find out about Culver City, and this goes to kind of the bigger issue, is that very difficult real estate wise to get into that area.
Yeah, right. Assuming you do, like I have a friend who's working class and she was able to get a waiver based on the fact that she works in Culver City. So people find workarounds. It's amazing what we'll do for our kids. But again, you just got to look. Even if you look at Pacific Palisades, the public schools there, extremely high performing. But if you look into the statistics, you look at the numbers and how the black children are doing in those environments, it ain't great. And part of it, and I would argue this with those independent or destination schools, as you call them, is the microaggressions.
Absolutely.
And the cost of being black in that environment.
Yeah, there's so much that goes on, and this goes to why I took the leap to start a school. When you are having to be bussed into an area, as there's a great history of happening from where we're sitting out to the Palisades, or where you are in a school where you are very much in the minority culturally and ethnically, there's a cost there. And I certainly come from a generation where it was go to the school and make it at all costs, and the cost being what it does to your identity, the struggle that you have to go through, and realizing who you are and who you have to be to even just survive socially in those places. And so for me, given all that's been poured into me as an educator, I just felt like who better than to take the leap to create something that addresses that. So you have the rigorous academics, but you also have the identity and cultural affirmation, so that, as we talked about, when you move on to that next place, whether it's a destination school, whether it's a public school, you are ahead of the game. You have a sense of who you are and a sense of where you're going and who you can be.
So you did spend time working at Harvard-Westlake, which is considered one of the top schools in California, I'd say. Probably maybe in the United States.
Definitely a brand that is nationally recognized. I was just in the East Coast for a conference, and it's amazing that a school that is really only 30 years old, when you think about the Harvard-Westlake of it, Harvard and Westlake School for Girls both existed pre-merger, but Harvard-Westlake is only about 30 years old, and to have a national brand that rivals, schools that have been around 200 years like the Andovers and Exeters is really quite an achievement.
So you spent time there, and this has been your whole career ever since you decided not to be a pediatrician. You became an educator. What you said, well, that's one of the reasons. What was the main driver for you leaving a school like Harvard-Westlake, which, people fight to get into, to start your own venture? Starting a school is more than a notion.
Yeah, I had the distinct pleasure of serving as a grade level dean at Harvard-Westlake, and so it was a perfect position for me because I really got to know children in a 360-degree view and their families. So when I got there, I was just a swim coach, and it was just about all things athletics. But as a dean, you really got to know them all the way around, and more importantly, I got to sit on the admissions committee. And so, as we talked about, I was in the rooms where it happened in terms of who gets to be let inside the gate. And the thing that would stick with me, or did stick with me after a number of years of doing it, is two things. One was that there would be families that I would meet along the admissions trail. I would do a number of interviews and read a number of files, and I would fall in love with the families. And particularly when it came to some of the black ones that would be presented, and everybody would love them, and there would be great things to say about the family and the child. And then for whatever reason, we didn't take them, whether they were waitlisted or denied outright. And oftentimes it came down to just being able to handle the rigor academically of Harvard-Westlake. It really is, a competitive Shark Tank, if you will, and you either, sink or swim. And so that would gnaw at me that, there would be families and kids who just weren't really prepared to handle that. So that was the first thing. The second thing is just as you mentioned, the idea that families are making great sacrifice to come, from all over the city to go into the valley for this, academic opportunity. And so I just began to think, what if families didn't have to make such a huge sacrifice, and especially in the early ages? And that, those two reasons ultimately led me to want to look into doing something else in communities where I know there needs to be more of these opportunities. Where we're sitting, we're in a place currently where there are schools that are closing, so opportunities are being decreased. Whereas, in the valley, you have 4 of those destination schools that I talked about within about 3 miles of each other.
Yeah, no doubt. Dr. Jon Carroll is our guest. I want to find out what he wanted to bring to his new venture, what he wanted to leave behind. What do black students need to get to that level of rigor? What do they need to get to that level of success? Do we have to make those sacrifices when it comes to our identity or when it comes to our dollars? All that straight ahead when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for starting your morning off with a voice that speaks truth to power and the powerless, getting to the heart of what matters most in our community. This is where authentic conversation meets real action. From breaking news and politics to culture and community solutions, this is where you hear perspectives you won't hear anywhere else. This is where we come together, get informed, and make change happen. You're inside First Things First with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Good morning, sunshine. You make my day.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay,
Are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor, and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
This November, you'll decide who leads California. So shouldn't you hear directly from the people asking for your vote? Join us for California Voices, a political town hall and ballot forum, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026. Meet candidates running for governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, and other major statewide and local offices, including mayor of Los Angeles, city attorney, and LA County sheriff. Get clear, nonpartisan breakdowns of the propositions on your November ballot, both sides, no spin. And ask your questions directly, in real conversation, face to face. California Voices is brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Empowerment Congress, giving you the information you need before you vote. Mark your calendar, Saturday, October 3rd, 2026, California Voices. Follow KBLA 1580 for details and download the KBLA 1580 app. Your vote, your voice. Be there.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Dr. Jon Carroll is here. So you came from Philly. You made your journey here. You obviously had a huge impact as a swim coach, but also as a dean, a grade level dean over at Harvard-Westlake. And then you decided you were going to try something different, start your own thing. It's called Jabali Academy. Mm-hmm. What does that even mean?
So Jabali is a Swahili word that translates literally to rock, and symbolizes strength and, foundation and all the things ultimately that I believe schools can be and should be in a community. I really believe that schools have the opportunity to be the epicenter of how we build community, not just during the school day, but after, when you think about enrichment opportunities and the different, parent education and job training, and just resource gathering that you can do. So I didn't want to name the school after myself. I thought that was kind of vain. And so I wanted it to have a very, Afrocentric feel, which is, key to our mission. And so in searching out words, when I found Jabali, I just knew that was the one.
Mm. So we've got some questions here in the chat, which I think are probably better than the ones that I was thinking of. So I'm going to go to some of those. And a couple people have said in different ways that before we send them to an independent school or a Jabali or a public school, we need to have them prepared to be in those rooms. Mm-hmm. What do you say about that?
I would agree. And what has been very interesting in this first year where we've done admissions and have been looking to have people join us is the degree to which they make it clear that the identity affirmation and cultural piece is great, and centering stories of the diaspora, which often don't get centered, is wonderful, but let's make sure that they can read, write, and do math, because that is the thing that translates across, the school journey, and I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Again, though, as we were just talking about, we want to make sure we do that without them having to sacrifice mental health. We want them to do that without students feeling like they have to be smaller, shrink themselves, be less than when it comes to how they move in the world, even opening up their opportunities to know what's out in the world. I think we grew up here as Black Americans feeling like there's no place else that we can go that is better. If we're not making it here in America, then where else would we go? And that's just not the case. I have family members who, take their great educations and live all over the world, and with the strong sense of identity that they have, it's really no issue for them. And so I think that's an important paradigm shift in how we prepare Black students in particular.
Right. Well, I mean, so you're saying you still have to have the rigor, you still have to have the basics. I almost feel like, why do we have to say that? But apparently we do. Because is there an assumption that if you have an Afrocentric school or a school that acknowledges and recognizes identity, that means that it's not academically rigorous?
Yeah, we found that. And it's funny that, the other side of it is, in schools these days, you'd have to make the argument that, DEI initiatives somehow didn't sacrifice excellence. So it's very interesting how the rigor piece comes into it, across the spectrum. But yeah, it is unfortunate that you have to, explain that. But again, I feel uniquely positioned to show people that you can do both. And there are examples all throughout our history of people doing both. And so that's what we want to highlight in our school.
Yeah, okay. I mean, to me, the conversation in a way is racist, but I understand what you're saying, because people probably think, just like if you go to a theater school, a specialized school, that somehow you're not focusing on academics.
Yeah, I mean, we talked earlier at the top, like, parents make the choice about parochial schools and religious-based schools here in Southern California. And, some would argue that the emphasis on the religion foundation can detract from the academic rigor. When people go into dual immersion schools here in Southern California, the same thing. And so you definitely have to make that case, because, again, in those destination schools, the rigor is the thing. You have people who will take on all kinds of enrichment to try and accelerate their students. You were in a school community like that, and when you get there, it really becomes a thing. If you can't demonstrate that you can keep up, you do get left behind.
I call it an educational arms race. That's what I call it. You got people putting their kids in these multi-$1,000 summer programs to try to accelerate them, and padding their resumes by the time they're 11. I don't know that I think that's healthy.
Yeah, and that's something that we kind of want to shift the paradigm on, reimagine as well, because, yeah, the resume is great, but to what end? Again, I used to interview students, and on paper they look great, but if they couldn't talk about that experience, if there was no great takeaway, then it didn't really mean anything when it came to the school community. I don't want my kid
to peak at 12 either. Like, that is not what I'm looking for.
Absolutely, because then what is their motivation when they're 18, 20, and they actually have to go into the workforce? And so all of that is stuff that, at the foundational level, we want to have different conversations about. What is it to have a kid in a multi-$1,000, enrichment program if they're not getting anything out of it, if they can't come out of it with a greater imagination, if all they did was do a stack of worksheets
so they can get into a college. Willie Ellis wants me to ask you if does the cultural piece make a difference in the education, though?
Absolutely, because it deepens the understanding. And so I like to take the famous example of history. I could go English, but I'll go history today. When you can bring into the conversation the contributions of the continent, and not just have, what is usually exclusively a Eurocentric education, then that deepens the understanding. So when we think about the civilizations that existed before imperialism and colonialization, they very much shape the way that the world works today. But so often that conversation doesn't happen. And so when black students get to see that folks who look like them have been leaders in industry and making, inventions that we take for granted every day, then it really shifts the mindset in terms of how they see themselves as part of global society.
So if you were to give sort of a philosophical core of what you're doing with Jabali Academy, which is relatively new.
Yes, brand
new. What would you say?
Yeah, so I'm gonna get nerdy for a second. So we've touched on the Afrocentric piece, and that really is at the core, making sure that we are bringing to the center the experience of folks across the diaspora. So that's the first thing. The second is a really experiential education, and really having students co-create their curricular materials so that they're deepening their understanding and they're not just using worksheets to regurgitate their memory. We're really trying to deepen their memory.
I'm laughing because my kid hated worksheets.
Yeah, and there's really a thing to like the kind of learning that you do when you can go out and touch something versus when you were just looking at pictures. When you have to draw the picture versus just identifying it, there's a deeper understanding. And then the final piece is this relationship between the student and the teacher. We really want our teachers to be observant what really animates students, and then work from there. So oftentimes teachers are just going off curriculum, standing at the front of the classroom and delivering. We want the teachers to be able to recognize within students what it is that makes them come alive, and then build off of that.
We only have a minute and a half here till news, traffic, and sports. We'll keep the conversation going on the other side. Jabali Academy is the school that you've started. It's a private school, right? Or a destination school, as you would call it.
We would love to think of it as a destination school for sure.
Yeah. So is that an abandonment, do you think, of the public school system, or is it, how do you line it up with that?
I think we look at it as a peer, in that if families think it is important to make sure that their students not only have a rigorous academic experience, but a culturally affirming one, this is an option. This is an option that's not going to exist within public school settings. That's just not the way public school is set up. And so we feel like we have to have it independent of that structure, because there are so many examples that I could cite where such a mission would not be supported in a public setting. People ask me all the time about charters. That's not something that I could ever see us being successful getting, particularly in this time.
Yeah. So it's not a charter school, just to be clear. And I think that what I want to talk about after news, traffic, and sports, if you don't mind, is, what did you carry out, or what have you gotten from the places you've dealt with prior, the private or destination schools? What would you carry out, and what would you leave behind? What do our kids really need to thrive, I guess, is what we're all trying to figure out. We're focused on education today. Dr. Jon Carroll, founder of the Jabali Academy, is my guest. More straight ahead, only right here.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. South Carolina Senator Darlene Graham says she'll run for the full Senate term after being appointed to complete the remainder of her late brother Lindsey Graham's term. She made the announcement during an interview with Fox News.
I've made a decision.
You're in?
I'm in.
She'll face a crowded Republican primary field ahead of the August 11th special election. Texas Democrat Senator nominee James Tellerico is pledging a major investment in black voter outreach after facing tough questions at a Houston town hall. Tellerico says he plans to spend $25 million connecting with black voters ahead of the general election. And Atlanta rapper Ally Boy has passed away at the age of 42. The co-founder of Duct Tape Entertainment has openly discussed his health struggles in recent years and was known for collaborations with artists including Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy, and Future. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The immigration crackdown by the Trump administration has made its way to HBCU sports. Johan Sandoval, a star infielder for the baseball team at HBCU Savannah State University in Georgia, is free today after spending more than 2 weeks in detention at an ICE immigration facility in Batavia, New York. Sandoval, a native of the Dominican Republic, was detained by ICE agents after a traffic stop in New York City on July 3rd. Sandoval said he showed the agents a valid ID and proper immigration documentation. ICE officials claim Sandoval's student visa had expired. Sandoval will have to plead his case in court. Until his court date, Sandoval had to agree to wear an ankle monitor to gain his release from the detention center. Sandoval, a junior at Savannah State, was MVP of this year's HBCU Baseball All-Star Game in Atlanta. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right, you save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
Listen up, KBLA delegation. We have something you need to hear. Right now, you may qualify for low-cost home internet. And we're not talking about a catch. This is real. Many internet service providers offer low-cost internet plans if anyone in your household is enrolled in CalFresh, Medi-Cal, SSI, or is income eligible. There are a lot of families in our community who deserve to be connected. Here's all you do. Call 844-461-7893. That's the Get Connected call center. Real people ready to help you enroll today. Or go online to internetforallnow.org to find a provider near you. You may also qualify for a low-cost computer through Human IT. Connectivity is not a luxury. In 2026, it's a necessity. And you deserve access just like everybody else. Call 844-461-7893. That's 844-461-7893. KBLA's got you. If you missed any of this, you can always go to our website at kbla1580.com. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 in partnership with the California Emerging Technology Fund, CETF.
You have something to say, and we want to hear it. KBLA Talk 1580 is engagement radio, not outrage radio. A place where your hopes, your frustrations, and your ideas are welcome. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Real talk, real people, real Los Angeles. KBLA Talk 1580, the station that sounds like the city looks. Tune in on your AM radio dial at 1580. Download our free KBLA 1580 app or listen live on our website at kbla1580.com.
Unapologetically progressive.
Oh no. Tear the roof down.
Oh no, we have time.
Please, God, save us. Save our house. Please, God, please.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we haven't forgotten what happened Tuesday, January 7th, 2025.
The trauma, processing the loss of our home. How do we address the compounding effect of the fire now more than 18 months later? I noticed one of my 3 children engaged in self-harm who hasn't been able to articulate the challenges that they've had since the fire. And 4 out of the 5 folks in our household are in therapy. 1 is not. And the one that's not is the one who I noticed with some marks on their person. This isn't okay. You need to talk to someone.
Black historical memory keeps alive the stories and struggles of everyday people and communities. Black historical memory preserves truths that others attempt to erase, minimize, or distort. Black historical memory prevents history from repeating its worst chapters. At KBLA Talk 1580, we will never forget. Tune into Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr, weekends on KBLA Talk 1580. 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Dr. Jon Carroll is here. He's a founder of the Jabali Academy. It is in Inglewood,
yes.
California. It's an independent school.
Yes.
You said academically rigorous and Afrocentric.
Absolutely.
And also kid-centered, student-centered, and but every school says that, so you kind of have to go and check it out for yourself.
Absolutely.
It's brand new. Are you enrolling people now?
We are enrolling people, so we have a cohort set to begin with us this August, our initial and inaugural school year, and our admissions are rolling. And so as folks come in and we find matches, we're going to have people come aboard and really build our community. So we're excited to get going. It's been a year of not having kids in the building and just really planning curriculum and having admissions open houses. So I'm really excited to get to the work that really inspires me, of working with children and their families and helping them down this journey, which many of us have been down, and as parents we try to do it without injury to our kid.
So what grades are applying now?
So for next year we'd be looking at kindergarten first and second. This first year we just started with a K1 cohort, And so next year we will be adding second grade as a new grade, and we will continue to add a grade as we get all the way up through 8th grade.
So in other words, the kids that came in into kindergarten will be able to go through 8th grade because each year another year is added on.
Absolutely.
Okay. I think that's kind of one of those best practices things for new schools. A lot of new schools do that. For an independent school or a private school, a lot of times it is, it's all about word of mouth. It's reputation, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people still have the affliction of feeling like the white man's ice is colder. Particularly, I would imagine, in something prestige-based like an independent school. How do you address that? What would you say to people that have that mindset, whether they're admitted or not?
Yeah, the key for me is to tell my story. I mean, I've been to the places that people want to go ultimately. I've been blessed to be in some of those institutions and work in them. And so whether it is the University of Pennsylvania, people want to still go to the Ivies. Whether it is UCLA, people crawl over glass out here to go to UCLA. Look at their application numbers. I've been in those spaces. And so telling that story and helping people understand that I know what it takes to get to those places, and now have a philosophy of my own in terms of how you get there that's not so mentally straining, I'll put it like that, is how I, sell Jabali Academy, and certainly preparing them to go wherever they want to go when they leave, whether they leave us, for middle school, whether they leave us to go on to high school, they will be prepared. And so that's the key thing that you want to make clear to parents. And again, part of it is talk and getting into the mom chat so that people will give us a try, and part of it is just proof of concept. And so that's what we're looking forward to as we get started with our inaugural year.
What are the things that you would bring from those institutions you mentioned that everyone wants to go to, but I'm going to say particularly Harvard-Westlake, because that is the age range, at least. UCLA, probably not as many applicable things, but UPenn maybe, but not as many.
Yeah, the things that I think are important is the wide breadth of things that you can experience. And so the schools that we've been talking about and calling destination schools are so because you walk onto their campuses and there's no place, and I used to talk about this during admissions, there's no place where you see, oh, they took a shortcut here. Everything from the gym to the art room to the music studio. I remember it, where I was previously, there was a digital music studio to the photography lab. Everything is going to be at a level where you feel like they didn't skimp out. And the teachers are professional and are passionate about their work. And so they dive deep into what it is that they're teaching to students. So we want to do the same, but we want to make sure that that exposure doesn't get cut off, at Europe. We want to make sure that it's a global exposure, and really making sure that, children understand the contributions, and the tie-ins and the connections that, folks of the diaspora have had. And so one example that I often like to give, because this was one that really shifted for me, was, you think about Fela Kuti as an artist, and he's, this, almost revered Nigerian artist, but he had influences from James Brown. He had influences from, his schooling in London. And so that just shows that, we're all connected in many different ways, but too often that connection piece doesn't get highlighted very much. And so that's the thing I'm looking to bring. And the thing that I'm keeping with me is the fact that when we dig into subjects, we dig deep and make sure that it's not just surface level understanding. I'm not very interested in you being able to spit back at me, the information I just gave you. And I think a lot of education, thrives in that. I want you to be able to experience and talk deeply in many different ways about the things that you're doing.
And what would you leave behind from those prestigious institutions?
Yeah, leave behind the gatekeeping that makes it so that certainly for kids of color there are not the opportunities. I leave behind the gatekeeping of behaviors that some of these schools will say, aren't on their brand, aren't in their mission. So I think about, girls' hair expression just as a glaring example. I mean, it's such a thing to the point that, we have to pass legislation in certain places so that, people will leave black hair alone. And so those are the types of things that I look to leave behind, the policing of, the way that we express ourselves and show up in school communities.
So what would a successful journey look like? I mean, you're starting this new venture.
Mm-hmm.
You're a kindergartner, who's 8 years from now. What would that look like for you?
Yeah, the successful journey for that student who starts in kindergarten and leaves us, say, in 8th grade, goes the whole way as a lifer, and is prepared to go to high school, is that they have their choice of places that they want to go. Their parents are able to, either put them in whatever public school they want to go to, or, enter that destination high school and thrive and really feel like they're ready. The test scores will be there. It'll be a no-brainer. The admissions counselors will come back to me and say, thank you for preparing the student. It really is an asset. The student and their family are really an asset to the community. And that student goes into the community and is a leader. And that student goes into the community and has a plan and purpose for how they want to continue to express themselves, and not just be a shrinking violet. That's the type of student that I'm looking to.
I mean, that
produce.
sounds amazing, but it also sounds like the perfect student that every parent dreams of.
For sure.
And most of our kids are more three-dimensional than that, right?
Absolutely.
And so, I guess the real question is, what do black children need more of? What do they need to really thrive? Because I have a theory that a lot of our kids are highly gifted.
Yes.
And they're getting shuttled off into special ed, or
Yes.
they're going into the prison industrial complex because their genius is not recognized. It's considered disruptive, or it's considered problematic for whatever reason, because it doesn't fit into neat little boxes.
Yes.
Or show up on neat little tests.
Yeah, we agree. And to answer your question, that's what I'm talking about, is the opportunity. The opportunity for a student to be in a safe environment where they can grow and develop their own passions in a place that really encourages them to do so. So this isn't a place where I say to the neat boxes, you have to be a jock, or you have to be just an instrumentalist, or you have to be just a scientist. You can explore all of those and be a combination of the three and be applauded for that.
At least they won't be assumed to be jocks the minute they're
100%. And, I don't know how far on the ladder swimming goes in the jock status, but yeah, they're just by my stature. I'm 6'2". I'd be a very rich person if I had $1 for every time someone asked, if I played basketball, or made that assumption.
Of course.
And so, yes, the idea that students would be prepared for how to do that and say, no, actually, I played the flute.
Yeah, I mean, that happened to my son all the time. What's your sport? Reading. Basically.
Absolutely.
Politics.
Debate is my sport.
Politics is my sport.
Robotics is my sport.
Right. Okay, so you've got a bunch of questions here inside of the YouTube chat.
Shout out to the
our
YouTube
comments.
folks up early.
Yes, indeed. And we can address some of those when we come forward. Also, I know you have an event, actually a couple of events coming up.
Yes, very excited about those.
Yeah, we'll let folks know how to get involved. And so all of that is coming up. You're also welcome to call in. They never usually want to call when someone's first time on the show, but you're invited to do so if you'd like to at 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Gas prices got you down. LADWP customers get a rebate of up to $4,000 when you buy a used electric or plug-in hybrid vehicle. Installing an EV charger at your home? Get a rebate for that too, up to $1,500. Visit ladwp.com/EV today and start saving. That's ladwp.com/EV. Going to a World Cup match in LA this summer? Ditch the parking stress and ride Metro. With direct service from across LA County, it's the easy way to get there for just $1.75 each way.
Some things can steal your sunshine.
Ugh, I just got my hair done.
Sorry, the cooler's broken. Anyone see my flip-flops? Anyone?
But COVID-19 can steal a lot more.
I just took a COVID test. Ugh.
Prescription medications for COVID exist. If you test positive this summer, ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com/COVID-19 to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out?
It's Spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees when used as directed. Spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Onyx, I keep having stomach issues. Please make me a doctor's appointment.
Okay, are you suffering from diarrhea, bloating, gas, or oily stools? If so, you may want to ask your doctor if it could actually be a problem with your pancreas, called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI.
My pancreas? How is EPI treated?
A prescription medicine like Creon, pancrelipase, is used to treat people who can't digest food normally because their pancreas doesn't make enough enzymes. Creon is the #1 prescribed treatment for EPI.
Creon may increase your chance of fibrosing colonopathy, a rare bowel disorder. Tell your doctor if you have a history of intestinal blockage or scarring or thickening of your bowel wall, if you are allergic to pork, or if you have gout, kidney problems, or worsening of painful swollen joints. Call your doctor if you have any unusual or severe gastrointestinal symptoms or allergic reactions. Take Creon as directed by your doctor, and always with food. Do not chew capsules, as this may cause mouth irritation. Other side effects may include blood sugar changes, gas, dizziness, sore throat, and cough. These are not all the side effects of Creon. You can learn more at 1-800-633-9110.
Before your appointment, visit creoninfo.com. That's CREON info.com.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DePrima on First Things First.
Okay, before we hit up these questions on YouTube, of which there are many,
Awesome.
Dr. Jon Carroll, founder of Jabali Academy, let's do the basics. Let's talk about your event, because I
Yes.
don't want to run out of time.
Excellent. So for 3 years now, we've been doing the Empowering Minds Gala. It's been our main fundraiser. We started the first one after we successfully purchased a building that now is our home. And so in our 3rd year, we are doing it in Inglewood for the first time at the Intuit Dome, home of the Clippers. We appreciate their hospitality. We are recognizing a number of community stakeholders: Anthony Anderson, Debbie Allen, Norm Nixon, Holly Robinson Pete, and Rodney Pete, and the great Gina Prince Bythewood, hosted by Sean Patrick Thomas. And so we're excited to be able to be celebrating now in Inglewood ahead of our first school year. And then on the following day, August 1st, we're having a community impact event in partnership with West Angeles Church, the Great West Angeles, where we'll be giving out backpacks, doing eye exams, and really just trying to make sure we're staying true to our mission, which is to be a community partnered organization and gathering and spreading out resources to those who need them.
So this star-studded event at the Intuit Dome is a fundraiser, I'm assuming.
It is a fundraiser.
How do folks get tickets for that?
So they visit our website, jabaliacademy.org. You'll see a pop-up immediately that'll ask you if you want to buy tickets. Again, JABALI Academy, all one word, .org. And you can purchase tickets for that. We do have some remaining, and you can always also go on our website and make a donation to the cause. We do want to make sure that we continue to provide an education that is affordable. Yes, we are independent, but we do want to make sure that folks who want to come to Jabali Academy and need a little assistance can get that. So we are developing that fund as well.
Yeah, well, that was one of the questions in the chat. Like, for people who can't afford it, for lower income folks, can they go to Jabali Academy? It sounds like that's something you're looking to create.
Absolutely. It's something I'm very sensitive to. I and my sister and brother actually were folks who went to independent schools. My parents had to work multiple jobs to make it happen. We benefited from financial aid. And so, the school is really a pay it forward mission. And, we want to make sure that folks who want to and believe in our mission can attend.
Yes, indeed. And then there's a second event after that?
After the gala?
Yes.
It's the Community Impact Day, yes.
And that's at the West Angeles.
We'll be at West Angeles, and we're so excited about that partnership. And we have 1,000 backpacks or so that we'll be giving away. Again, we'll be having Vision to Learn there to help with eye exams.
Is that a church event, or is it open to everybody?
Open to everybody. It is a community event, and so registration is open for that, and you can also do that on our website. And yeah, we want to see as many people as possible. I don't want to take home any backpacks.
I imagine that day is also probably an opportunity for people to meet folks from the school.
Absolutely. We will be out in force, myself, our founding teacher, our board, so you can really see who's behind this project and get to know us, because we really want to make sure that we continue to be folks who are visible in the community and not just, folks who come around when it's time to take pictures, but we're here. And so we're looking forward to meeting people.
Paraphrasing here, someone was talking about, how many ethnic groups have Saturday schools. Lots of Koreans have that, some Jewish folks.
Yep.
I think the question was, does the Jabali Academy sort of fold the Saturday school information into the regular curriculum?
Yeah, it's a both and. We are very much looking to build that model as well. We think it's important in the same ways that other groups, have that enrichment model, and we are going to be, rolling that out as well, probably at the top of 2027. And yes, the Saturday school model for us really is an extension of what's happening in the school on a daily basis, and making sure that, again, that enrichment, that extra practice, those extra reps are taking place, whether it's in math or as in reading, whether it is in, kind of cultural programming. We have had this spring, and we just finished up a Lego STEAM program for young people, so that they can get that entry into, robotics in the STEM world. We're planning some things also for the performing arts, because, again, we want to make sure that our kids don't get left behind in terms of opportunity. When you think about sports, for example, there's this great debate happening about, people getting priced out of certain activities, and we don't want that to happen in any area of extracurricular activity.
Yep, that's well said. Morris says public education should be able to offer everything this guy's school offers. True, but does it? And I feel like every time we have public school folks on there saying we should start our own schools, and then when you are starting your own school, they're saying public schools should offer everything that you're offering.
Yeah, I would agree. I've come from the mindset that schools really should be a hub in a community and offering a number of things that we're talking about. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. So are we to just sit on our hands and continue to hope for it to happen, or are we to go out and make it happen for the sake of our kids? Again, I was someone who wanted to be, and quite honestly, my wife and I were folks who probably needed to be in public school settings when we first moved out here, and our finances were different. And ultimately, for our values, the public school didn't offer everything that we thought was important for our child. So we had to seek a different option. And that, again, is kind of what is behind this school. We want to provide an option where folks feel proud about what's being offered, and they're not getting it perhaps in their neighborhood school.
Yogi Fish wants to know what advice you'd give President Trump on improving education in America. That's a big question.
I think President Trump needs to better understand that if he's really going to talk about funding and giving families autonomy in funding their education, which is something that I would agree with, folks should have that autonomy, then there needs to be a greater investment and greater infrastructure, and threatening the institution of the Department of Education and the grant-giving organizations that fund, a lot of the research that we depend on to understand how best to do education. I think he really needs to rethink, how he approaches that. I'll keep it simple.
Morris is asking about things like agriculture, and I don't know, I'm just going to extrapolate from that, because people are always asking about, trades and home ec and all that stuff that folks feel is no longer offered in school.
Yeah, I'm there. I believe that students should have the exposure, especially in those elementary and foundational ages, so that they can understand and develop their own passions. I was somebody who was a city kid who, by virtue of my independent school experience, was able to have an outdoor education program, and we would go to arboretums and learn about trees, and we would go on these camping trips. And so while I'm still an urban kid, I have an understanding and a proficiency that even now, when I have to pluck weeds from the school. I can do it when, I can keep a plant alive. And so we very much will have that same kind of approach at Jabali Academy. That is one of the reasons that we have the landscaping that we do, so kids can have the experience of growing. We want them to know how to, understand the butterfly and plant life cycles and things like that. Those are all very important things.
We only have a minute, but I have to ask you this about black teachers.
Yes.
Because that's an issue in public, private, charter.
Absolutely.
Every school.
Absolutely. I'm so interested in rebuilding the teacher pipeline that was thriving prior to Brown versus Board of Education, that landmark case. And so, one of the things that I'm looking to do in addition to the school is really think about teacher apprentice programs and pipeline programs so that folks who are interested in the education space have an entryway. I benefited from that. My first gig in education was as a second grade associate teacher, and it allowed me the space to again, get my reps. And while I was finishing my master's, have that experience that was necessary for me to ultimately become a lead teacher and continue on with my education. So I'm very much interested in developing structures that allow for teachers to enter education and thrive there, particularly black ones. I didn't have my first black teacher until 7th grade.
Well, folks, if you want to find out any more, I suggest you go to their website. It is jabaliacademy.org.
Correct.
Jabali, jabaliacademy.org. Dr. Jon Carroll, good luck to you and your entire institution, and thank you for coming in and talking education.
I appreciate it, Dominique, and kudos to you and all that you do for the community.
Thank you so much. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a fully jam-packed show for you. He's got a lot of great guests today, so you do not want to miss it. Like my father, the late, great Amiri Baraka, used to say, a person is either free or they are not free. There can be no apprenticeship for freedom. Don't forget to tap in with me. I'm at Diprima Radio, DIPRIMA, and then radio. Until tomorrow, beloved KBLA delegation, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BAN News Now. South Carolina Senator Darlene Graham says she'll run for the full Senate term after being appointed to complete the remainder of her late brother Lindsey Graham's term. She made the announcement during an interview with Fox News.
I've made a decision.
You're in.
I'm in.
She'll face a crowded Republican primary field ahead of the August 11th special election. Texas Democrat Senator nominee James Tellerico is pledging a major investment in black voter outreach after facing tough questions at a Houston town hall. Tellerico says he plans to spend $25 million connecting with black voters ahead of the general election. And Atlanta rapper Ally Boy has passed away at the age of 42. The co-founder of Duct Tape Entertainment has openly discussed his health struggles in recent years and was known for collaborations with artists including Gucci Mane, Young Jeezy, and Future. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The immigration crackdown by the Trump administration has made its way to HBCU sports. Johan Sandoval, a star infielder for the baseball team at HBCU Savannah State University in Georgia,